Meek for a Week is quite an interesting episode of Arthur, as this really digs into the character of Francine Frensky. This is the first segment in the 17th episode of the first season, and in this episode, Muffy bets Francine that she cannot be nice for a week. And it's not so much that Francine is an intentionally horrible person, she's not a bully as such, but she does a lot of things without thinking, and she treats people in a way where she kind of comes across as being self-righteous and thinking she's better than everybody else. So Muffy, says, "You've got a whole week. You can go this far without saying anything horrible to anybody." But will she be able to do it? And I think this is a really interesting episode for two reasons. The first is that it's just interesting to look deeper into the character of Francine, because Francine is actually a really likable character, but when you stop and think about it, yeah, she has some behaviours that are less than admirable, and it's just a fascinating look at who she is. The other reason this is a really good episode is because it could encourage the viewer to stop and think about the ways in which they are treating other people, because Francine didn't see anything wrong with the way she was treating people. She would make excuses for her behaviours. She would say horrible things and say that, the truth hurts, people needed to hear it. And it can definitely make people stop and think about the way they're treating people. Because a lot of people can say things that are nasty when they don't actually mean to be nasty and they don't want to hurt people's feelings, but they have kind of a very blunt, brash way of doing things. And I think it's a really important episode for that reason. Obviously, there's the question of will she be able to do this? Will she succeed? I'm not going to say what happens, but it made a lot of sense to me the way the narrative progressed. I thought it worked very well. The hockey game was pretty interesting as well. I think that worked very well. And it wasn't completely predictable. I won't say that I couldn't work out generally what was going to happen, but there were a few things in there that I hadn't expected. I have no recollection of this episode from growing up. Some of these episodes I do, some not so much. This one I don't. But nevertheless, watching it for the first time and analysing it now from an adult perspective, I can see the benefits of this episode. It's interesting from a Francine character perspective, but it's also one with a really important lesson.